Well, good morning, everybody. Welcome to week 5 of our Business 101 class. This week we're going to be talking about flexible organizations. We're going to talk about quality goods and services, and then we're going to be talking about inventory. Inventory is probably the biggest issue that we'll be covering this week, and it's very, very important for all businesses, whether they're a Walmart, a Subway, a hospital, a manufacturer, or whatever. Each of them have to deal with inventory. Inventory affects what's known in the business world as cash flow. You may have learned about that in your business, in your accounting classes. If not, whenever you do take a class in accounting, you'll learn about it. And cash flow is the lifeblood, if you think about it, of a business. Okay, so let's look at a fictitious company and let me explain cash flow and the effects of inventory there. Imagine that you're going to start a new business. It's a small manufacturing firm, and maybe you'll make, let's say you're going to make socks. It could be anything, but we'll pick socks for now. You have a really neat design, and you think that people will really like to buy these socks. Maybe they're warm, maybe they're durable, they last a long time, they feel good. So you go to a bank and you establish a relationship with a bank, and you show them your business plan, etc. And you establish what is called a line of credit with the bank. In other words, the bank is going to give you a certain amount of money that you can borrow to conduct your business. So in this case, let's say they gave you $10 million. You're going to use that $10 million to buy your raw materials, your yarns, your threads, your machinery, things like that you may need. You're going to hire people and pay them benefits, and you're going to pay them a salary. And you're going to use that $10 million to get your business up and running and to make your product. Once your product is made, the idea is that then salespeople would turn around and sell that product. Okay? From the sale of that product, you get revenue, and you use that revenue to pay back the $10 million that you borrowed, or at least parts of it. And so you have this revolving credit of $10 million that you take out of the bank, make product, get your money back from customers, pay the bank back, etc. So that circle is called cash flow. Now, inventory interrupts the circle, if you think about it. Let's imagine you made a bunch of these socks, and you have some socks that are sitting in the factory partially made. The partially made inventory is called work in progress. You have your raw materials, which are the yarns and the various things that are sitting there waiting to be made into a product. And then you have your finished goods inventory. So you have 3 types of inventory: raw material, work in process, finished goods. None of that can be sold in terms of raw materials or work in process. Your finished inventory can be sold. So you're going out to a customer, you're going to sell that finished product to them and get money back, if you will. And then you just continue to do that. At any point along the way, you want to measure how long does that circle take to complete itself, which is called inventory turns. In other words, how many times do I totally turn over my inventory and get my money back in a month, in a week, in a year, whatever the measurement cycle is that you want. Obviously, the higher the number of turns, the better your cash flow situation would be. Okay? Now, problems come into play when you can't make the product, so it sits there as raw material, or you have partially made material, which means you can't finish it and sell it, or if you have a lot of finished goods sitting in a warehouse somewhere and customers are not buying them. All of that represents money that's sitting around and can't be recovered and can't be used. Okay? At some point, the bank is going to say you can't borrow any more money, so let's suppose you can't get more than the $10 million at a time. All of a sudden you have cash flow problems. You can't buy more raw material, you can't pay your workers, etc. And so now you have a cash flow problem. So that's inventory. That's a little bit about what we're going to be talking about, kind of a snapshot, if you will, of that. The other things that we'll be talking about is flexible organizations. All organizations today work in a high-tech environment. Globalization is a key thing going on now. We used to compete with a neighbor down the street. Now we may be competing with someone on the other side of the world. And so technology and globalization has really pushed companies to be agile and be able to do things quick. First to market or the first to innovate, things like that. So your typical bureaucratic organizations are going to have a lot of trouble in the world, in the workforces today. And we'll be talking a little bit about that. Next, we'll be talking about quality goods and services. It doesn't do you any good to provide a service or to provide a product if you don't provide a high level of quality that goes with that. And we'll talk more about that. So those are the topics that we're talking about this week. We'll get more into them as the week goes on. I do want to remind you that this is week 5. So later this week, probably by the end of the week, you'll see your midterm grades. Please make sure you're going out looking for work that you haven't turned in and get that done, following obviously the late policy. Also in week 5 is the second for your 4 tests. So you'll have that out there available to you to do. And this week, being week 5, we will also do the second of the 2 required Collaborate sessions. That session will be on Thursday night at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. You are required to attend that or at least watch the recording, and you do get a grade on that. So I will post more about that during the week as I give you updates. I just want to welcome you back to class. Again, I hope you had a good holiday season, that everything went well and was safe for you, and that you're ready to get back to work. So I'll see you in class.